Good morning everyone, and welcome back to another week on the nursery. Bit of a overcast day today. Supposed to reach 27-28 degrees today, so it's going to be pretty muggy. I think it's already sitting at about 20 degrees. This is before 8 o'clock in the morning, so yeah, going to be a bit of a sticky one I think. Yesterday was pretty warm as well, but we had a bit of rain overnight, so yeah, today's mission is we're going to pick out a few GOLs for potting up this week, or actually over the next couple of weeks. We're just going to go through and have a look at what's coming on, what's ready. So flick so you can see what we've got there. So a couple of bays here. So these are red tussocks, China Claw rubra. They are coming along nicely, but yeah, they're still a few weeks away yet from being ready to pot up into a bigger size, so we will leave those for now. Over here we've got Lamandra Lime Tough. Again, these are a little bit patchy. Some of them are quite good, but others are still quite small, so we'll just leave those a little bit longer till some of the smaller ones catch up a little bit, and then yeah, we'll probably go through and at least pick out the bigger ones. One strange thing with Lamandra that I've only come across in the last year or so is what I'm assuming is the flower. So don't very often see Lamandra flower, not in the nursery anyway. And this is happening on a little GOL, so yeah, quite cool. It's the only one in the whole crop that's done it. But, yeah, quite interested if anyone happens to know why Lamandra do that, why one would just randomly sprout like that. Then over here we've got Manuka, Leptospermum scasparium. Again, these are still quite fresh. They've not long come out of the tunnel house, so they're still coming along. So probably what we'll do here is pick out a small batch of them for potting up. Just pull that one out there for example, so you can see he's got some nice roots coming through the bottom, and yeah, nice little plant there. What we find is that it is much better to pot up a batch of plants when the roots are still quite soft, rather than having a real solid root ball. I'll show you one as an example. So these Carex testacea here, they are getting quite big, although in saying that I wouldn't have said it was massively big compared to what we've had from other nurseries before. You can see it's got big roots coming out the bottom, and if I pull those out, you can see that's starting to bunch up a little bit down the bottom there. That one's probably still actually quite good. It's still quite soft, but there is one or two in here I pulled out the other day, and they are getting really tight in their pots, and when you pop that up into a bigger pot, they just don't take into the next size up, and the only way to get them to take is to split the root ball open with your hands, which is time consuming, so try and avoid that when possible and get them in earlier rather than later. So back over here we've got some Cordyline australis here. We do have plenty of stock of these as it is, so probably don't need to pot up any more of these at the moment, so they'll be quite happy just sitting there for a bit longer. Then we've got the ever popular China Claw flavicans, the dwarf toy, so I've got a good little batch of these, so we will be potting these up. So yeah, just can't get enough of those. We also do have a big batch of Sequoia sempervirens, so that's the giant redwood. So if you happen to need any or know anyone that needs any, these are all well and truly ready to pot up into the next size, and I think we've got about 1,000 of them available, so they're looking good. Then we've got a beautiful pretty row of Acina purpurea ground cover, so these will all be potted up soon. Probably going to do these next week into like a 1 litre, but yeah, they're a lovely little plant, all looking good to go. And through here we've got a bit of a mix of things. We've got Juncus pallidus over there, so they are definitely ready to go to be potted up. You can see the nice tubular stems on them, so they'll be potted up pretty soon as well. We've got Carex Carmen's Green or Frosted Curls. It's always a really nice Carex grass. We've already got lots of mature stock of those already, but yeah, more coming on. All these are ready to pot up too, so needing any of those. We've got Coprosma Red Rocks. These are definitely making good progress, but they are just still a little bit small at the moment. Probably just want those a little bit beefier before we pot them up. You can see the roots are just starting to pop out the bottom. And then over here we've got a lovely batch of lavender major coming on. They're all being sold in that size, so there's no further work to do on them. So they're just waiting. We're going to give those a trim at some point just to help them bush up. We've got Carex Vergata here. So we've got a batch of these in our root trainer grade. So that's the big tall tube which provides a nice root ball for farmers or re-veg jobs, so you can plant those straight out into a project. So yeah, they've not long been shifted outside, so they've got a little bit of maturing to do before they're ready for sale. But we do also have the same one in a standard 5cm GOL, so, and because the root ball is much shorter on those, they've already got roots poking out the bottom, so they can be potted up at any time as well. And then we've got some more Carex Buchanani here, and they are looking pretty good too. Again, probably give them a little bit longer to mature before we pot them up. And lastly over here we have Plagianthus regius, which is the ribbonwood. Pretty much all of these are sold in the size they are, but I think we've got about 200 spare, so we'll pot those up into 2.5 litre pots, and if there's any left over in 6 months time or so, we'll probably pot those up again into a PB18, because yeah, there's some really nice ones here. I don't know if you can see that, but that's got a nice straight stem, which is what, well, when I say straight, I'm talking about straight in terms of ribbonwood straight. So yeah, they make really nice trees for structure, that type of thing in a landscape. So yeah, that is the oncoming stock for today. We'll move on to our heated bench project and show you where we're at with that. So last week we made a start on the new heating bench for the propagation house, and so now we are going to take that to the next stage and put in the polystyrene for insulation and also the polythene lining to stop the sand falling through. So yeah, get into that now. So this is 10mm polystyrene, which used for insulation, so don't need a lot. It's 10 millimeters thick, but it's just enough to help the heat, stop the heat escaping from the bed and out into the atmosphere below and around. So make sure it's directed up under the trays of plants, which is where we want it. So there we have it. This is now all fitted with polystyrene, and next step is we'll put a black polythene liner on it to stop the sand seeping down into the polystyrene over time. So it just gives it a bit of a liner. Okay, so there we have it. This is all lined and ready to receive sand. So first stage on here will be to put a layer of sand about 50 mil thick, and then the heating cable will go on top of that, and then another layer of sand to finish it off, and then we'll put a thin layer of weed mat on top, or just a basic cloth like you can see we've got underneath these trays here. That's just a throwaway layer that we can replace every year or so, just to stop any build-up of any grime or algae or anything like that that might be inclined to grow on there. So yeah, we are nearly there, so keep an eye out for the next instalment, which will hopefully see this finished off. So one of the joys of growing native grasses and tussocks is that if they stay too long in their pots, when they mature anyway, but in their pots they can overgrow them. So every now and then we have to give them a bit of a haircut. So this is a batch of Carrick Sector. They are lovely big bushy plants, but you can see they need a bit of a hairdo, so give them a bit of a trim up. So there's the first cut done, and there's two main reasons for doing this. One is so the grass doesn't produce seed, because when it produces seed the tops of the plant get really heavy and it drapes over and smothers the plants beside it. So of course when they're planted in a landscape position or you know, on a farm wherever they need to be. That's no problem because they're all spaced out, so they've got room to be beside each other. But here in the nursery, when they're all in pots close to each other, we can't have them falling over top. So, and the reason for that is that as soon as they start falling over top of each other, the irrigation can't get in and the pots start drying up and the plants start dying. So quite critical to keep the grasses and tussocks trimmed before they start getting too top heavy. There we go, all done. So yeah, if you compare how it looks now with how it did at the start of the little clip here, you can see how much more open these plants are and able to receive irrigation and water, so they will be a whole lot happier.